everyone, and welcome to MacRAE'S Growth Challenge podcast, Insight with B2B and manufacturing leaders, where we uncover their stories, strategies, and solutions to overcoming growth challenges in their industries. I'm your host, Maria, and in each episode, we will dive deep with founders, CEOs, and industry experts to explore how they scale, innovate, and lead in today's competitive landscape. So let's get started. Today we have Phil from Forterra. Nice to have you. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Hello.
Awesome, Phil. So why don't you introduce yourself, your role at Forterra, and tell us a little bit about the company?
Absolutely. So my name is Phil Tuitt from Forterra. My current title is Vice President of Transformation. And that basically means I do a little bit of everything. And I'm chemical engineer by discipline and education. But in terms of roles and responsibilities, it's really to help the company grow through different departments and through different phases. A little bit about Forterra, if I may. We're a green cement materials company. We focus on the tech of answering the CO2 question, right? We looked at CO2 and we said, hey, it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. And when we look at that, we say, how can we do it better? Because at the time when we invented our technology, people were taking CO2 and just simply putting it, burying it in the ground and hoping and praying it doesn't leak. And we just figured there's got to be a better way to do this. And so we looked to nature and got inspired because nature takes CO2, they take calcium, they put it together, and they make hard materials like coral reefs, right? And so we basically studied them, understood them, and realized, hey, we could do the same. We can take the CO2, which is a problem and challenge, we can take calcium, we can put it together and make something useful. In fact, we were able to put together and make a green cement that's, both taking a waste product and making a sellable, usable product, and also preventing it from, having to put it in the ground and hoping and praying it doesn't leak back out.
That's amazing. You are a chemical engineer. That was clear right off the bat there. So why don't you, that was amazing detail. I don't think I've ever heard anybody explain it this way. So for our audience and myself as well, since we all from such variety of industries, educate us about CO2 and, its good
Sure.
things, bad things. Why don't you enlighten us about this?
Absolutely. So I'm sure everyone's heard about CO2. It's coming to climate change, and we looked in an area of the world in the industry that we think we could make change. And we looked at cement, because cement and concrete represent about 8% of the world's CO2 emissions. And so we have a solution that has a chance to actually move the needle and make a change for the better in this industry. And so when we go look at that and we say, hey, all the cement that's being used in the world will continue to be used. So it's a great sink. The size matters here. And for us, when we take our technology, we're able to make a measurable difference. Take that CO2 from industrial flue gases, mineralize it into calcium carbonate, make it a usable, sellable product, and then put it into the built environment, right? So the sense of scale matters. It's great because there's a lot of tech out there, but it's so small, it doesn't fit, the sinks don't match up, the mass balance doesn't quite work out, and with our technology, it actually lines up perfectly.
That's amazing. So tell me a little bit about what was the initial vision? I understand you guys are obviously wanting to put something good out there, 8% of total emission, that's a huge percentage for cement. If you can obviously offer a better product, that's amazing. But how did this actually start? And what kind of challenges are you running into with your product, offering it to an industry that is so used to a certain thing?
Yeah, absolutely. You are correct. The industry is conservative, and they realize that they will continue to make this cement product in the world. That cement's not going anywhere. And so for us, the way we approach it is more of a partnership with them. We want to, it's an acronym called FIRE. Basically, we want to leverage the same feedstocks that they use. So we use the same limestone that they've invested hundreds of millions of dollars developing, that infrastructure. We're using the exact same limestone feedstock. We're using their existing infrastructure, right? So they have the way they can mine it, they can grind it, they know how to ship the product out, they know how to sell that product. So for us, what we want to do is fit into their world. We want to be a bolt-on solution which expands their capacity. So we're not competing with them, we're partnering with them. And this allows us to basically take that same feedstock, use the same infrastructure, make our cement. Our cement is cost comparable and competitive with theirs. We're able to use the same infrastructure that they have, and then we fall under the same regulations. So the cement is regulated by ASTM, at least in the United States. So we fall under the same ASTM codes. And then the E portion of the fire is basically economics, right? Every technology is cool, but if you want to scale and you want to be sustainable, you have to be economical. And so for us, we've basically created a product that is both good for the environment, but equally important is economical and can stand on its own. So you can almost say the green is for free.
That is so smart. Instead of basically trying to compete with them, you just said, hey, we're not trying to take any type of piece of your conservative, old school way of doing it. You guys didn't even try to go there. I feel like you knew that might have been like a losing battle. And you just, it's an added thing. When you were formulating the product, is that the initial thought process that was happening? It's like, okay, we don't even want to compete with them right from the beginning. Let us create something that could just work with them as a partnership. Was that one of the initial thought processes?
Absolutely, because we realized, what's our mission? Our mission is for the widest possible adoption in the world, right? Widest adoption is meaning you get multiple partners. We're talking about lime producers, cement producers, anyone with a limestone quarry. We want to partner with them, right? And so we've come up with two basic products. One of them is called React Blend, and the other one's React Pure. And think of it this way: blend, as it implies, is basically a drop-in replacement with OPC. You can have the two blend mixed together. So there's no changes to their infrastructure. Literally, you make our product, you make your product, your OPC, your Portland cement, you blend the two, and off it goes. And then for those with like a slightly higher risk tolerance, or people looking for the latest, greatest version with even lower CO2 footprint, they can go with Pure. And Pure is a standalone cement. So I don't need OPC. You can use it as a standalone cement. And so providing those two options provides our partners the ability to decide what level of Forterra product do I want to incorporate into my mainline products. Again, we're a bolt-on solution, so we can bring in a 400,000 ton per year plant bolted to the side of their 1 million ton per year plant, and they can expand their capacity at a reasonable economic cost. So we're looking for a solution, and we're also looking for partners together.
Yeah. Who else in the industry does something similar to you?
So there's other companies that are trying to do something similar with us, but none of them have reached the scale of technical validation that we have. So we have a plant up in Redding, California that produces 15,000 tons per year. Again, slightly small in the relative world of cement sales, but large enough for us to validate all the technology. So we used commercial, what we call off-the-shelf equipment at industrial scales. And so we're no longer in the lab. We're no longer trying to do a baby pilot. We're actually doing what we call a small commercial plant. And we're able to validate the economics and validate the technology. So now at this point, we've proven and we've taken our product and actually put it in real world projects. So we've done installations similar to every other concrete installation. So one of our ones I like to talk about is Simpson University. So it's in the local area near Reading. We were part of the pour in their foundation for an expansion of a new building that serves veterans. So it's a good feeling for us to know that we're contributing to our local community and our products actually being used in real life applications.
Yeah, 100%. So basically, what sets you apart from other similar companies who are trying to do is that you guys are further ahead in basically being able to demonstrate that your product is working and can generate great results, where other companies are they don't have those facilities, they don't have that proof of concept yet. They're still in the, I guess, more pilot stages of testing their product and see if it's going to work or not.
That's correct.
Phil, everybody needs to know about your product. Do you know that?
We're trying.
Tell me about how people find you, because this is amazing. I think this is one of the most exciting topics that I've encountered on the podcast yet. How are people finding you? Tell us about this.
Okay, so the shameless plug for terraglobal.com. we spent a lot of time on our website to address different audiences. So clearly, if you're a cement plant or you're a cement partner or a ready mix, we have special tabs and pages for you. And then for those of us who I call the common folk who just are interested in the technology and just making a difference, we also have pages that kind of explain our technology much more eloquently than I have, with a lot of visuals that actually literally walk you through the process, which I use sometimes to explain to my kids and a lot, and a lot of my friends. So again, forterraglobal.com is the place to go. And then of course, we also provide tours for those who are really interested, tours both in Reading as well as our headquarters here in San Jose, California. We provide educational materials as well if there's classes or students that want to learn about our technology, or even if you're just curious, come reach out to us that way.
Amazing. Definitely, I had a chance to check out your digital presence, and I can see that you guys are still doing a lot of trade shows. I can see that based on the traffic that you're getting. I can share that with you after the recording here today. But tell me about, like, when you go to a trade show and you show this product, you show the results, like, what kind of reaction are you getting from people?
It's an old, more traditional industry, and so as you just described, yes, it is a very much a in-person show me type of event and communication style. So we both bring in physical assets like concrete cylinders and mortar cubes, but we also provide digital products as well, much in the way that they can take it home with them or look at it again from the internet, or however, and understand some of our case studies and whatnot. And so for us, it's a balance of both. And I know that with the advent of AI or the advances in AI, and we're both doing and learning how to use these AI tools. For instance, we're using AI tools to look at our data sets that are coming out of our plant and looking for trends and basically results that you and I from the naked eye wouldn't be able to pick out, but with AI processing, able to say like, hey, here's a trend you didn't think about, Phil. I was like, that's perfect, thank you. And then also from a digital marketing perspective, there's a lot of times we're trying to explain and educate other people because it's hard to understand the text sometimes, and so we try to simplify it, and we use AI tools to create visuals and other marketing materials, and then in a much faster prototyping way. We still have digital graphic designers that are incredibly talented, but we can kind of, again, I'm an engineer, so I'm not much of a creative, and I'm not good at explaining things half the time. So I'm able to kind of give them a couple of vague ideas, and they literally take that, use their AI tools, and they generate, I kid you not, in a matter of hours, like, hey, what do you think about this? Is this what you were thinking? Does this visual make sense? And also if they're like, wow, it's totally like that, but if you can make, the bulldozers are a little bigger and the concrete stone a little smaller. And I guess it's amazing for me just to see how fast the turnaround is. Like the talent and the skill for the AI section, right, is important, but just the speed of how things are moving.
Yeah, I totally agree, because in our agency, so we're all an AI-based agency for marketing needs for manufacturing, wholesalers, and so on. And we always say that AI is just able to take off some of these tasks that would just like drive our brains insane. Like if you're an engineer, you're technical, you understand why certain details are so important in order to understand the product. But somebody who doesn't know anything about it could probably not care about certain things that you think are extremely important. So having basically a tool that can just combine both worlds together and make both of them happy, it just makes life so much easier. And yeah, so you're using it, we're using a lot of that as well, because we have a lot of like computer engineers, right, and like heavy tech people that work with us, and we're like, okay, now I gotta go and like show this to people, and they're like, here's a million details. I was like, nobody's gonna care about this, nobody's gonna know what it means, guys. We have to simplify, right?
100%.
Yeah, it's true for all industries. So I personally, now that I did have a chance to research, but now you explaining this to me, it's so exciting, honestly. But you're saying that people are still skeptical. So even like when you're showing them the demonstration of the product or what it can do for them, what are some of the challenges like you're running into as you're showcasing your product?
I think for us, there's a healthy level of skepticism whenever new technology or new ideas come through. And so for us, or the challenge I see, is making sure that we're able to connect with individuals and helping them learn in their preferred method and preferred style, right? So some folks will love this audio podcast format, and everything we say word for word will sink in, they'll understand. Myself, I'm more of a visual person, visual learner, and so for me, having those AI tools to be able to basically create those visuals of those things that I'm thinking of but can't quite put into words, sometimes it helps me explain it better and teach others, and as well as understanding other people's needs. And so when those other industry leaders come in, like hey, I got a cement plant, it's 50 years old and I need to upgrade. And so I go to Google Maps, I can look at the picture like, okay, like that's great. I still understand like what are you trying to fix? What are you trying to solve for? And being able to use these AI tools to like, oh, I can plop my plant over and do a superimposed site layout, and then they're able to see like, oh, I get it very quickly. Again, speed being the key thing. They're able to understand like, oh, so your bolt-on plant fits literally in this little space here. That works, right? But if I had to describe the words like, I need 5.2 acres of relatively flat space, with minimal elevation change, you get lost in those details. But visually, you're able to see it much more clearly, much more quickly.
Yeah. What about attracting clientele? Like I know again, it's all about the visual in trade shows and stuff like that. But as far as like even people searching online, like there must be so many people searching for different types of solutions. How are you guys monetizing and making sure you're capitalizing on all of that?
Well, we I have a secret weapon. Her name is Sherry Chapman. She's our VP of marketing, and she and her team is just amazing at making sure that the search engine optimization keywords are there. They're able to get not just the technical terms that my cohorts and my team usually use all the time, but they're also able to explain it with simplified words that someone who isn't as educated or involved in the industry would be able to search and still come towards us as well. So if someone's saying like, hey, cement, green cement, right? So they'd be able to figure out other keywords that would lead them to us and to our website and to our assets. Things that I myself I would never call it that, but I guess that's what other folks call it that. And so, almost like a translator, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Between what you know and what people are actually searching for.
Yes.
Can you give us some examples of those?
So I mentioned the green cement, the CO2. Whenever people talk about CO2 and building materials, or whenever someone talks about just green tech in general or hard tech, those are some industry buzzwords. And so me being an engineer, it's I would never call it that. It's green cement. It's better for the environment and it works, right? and so Sherry and her team are able to those would be examples, just a few. And if you want more, I can get you in contact with her. She absolutely has a whole plan laid out with all the connection points, almost like a Rosetta Stone of sorts. That says
I would love to. Yeah, I think
engineering speak versus what everyone else calls it.
I think that would be a wonderful topic to actually discuss here. So yeah, I would love to, of course, because it's very, there has been a few times on the podcast that I've met people that are in traditional industries and mature industries, but are just so focused on innovation and just finding an opportunity, and then not only being able to create a wonderful product, but also being up to date with how people are going to be finding that product and making sure that they are appearing where people are actually searching. How people are finding solutions is changing. Google was the only player for about 25 years, but that's just not the case anymore, especially with a product like yours, where it's literally, hey, here's my question, plug it into an AI-based generative tool, and if you can come up on top in those solutions like green cement or green technology, there's somebody in some department asking and you can appear there, oh my gosh. You guys can go so far, and I say this to a lot of our clients that right now we're in a point where SEO was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Right now, trying to appear on Google, good luck.
Good luck.
So a content strategy now, if you don't already have like a stronger base, can take a really long time. So the fact that you guys are just up with the times and you don't have to like go back and haul and decision making is just moving fast. And you mentioned that like you guys move fast, so that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm very
yeah.
exciting.
If I can add, I would say, partnering with companies like yourself, MacRAE, and having having everyone just take a pause on the. Again, I'm focused on the engineering technical side, but Sherry's really good about this. She always takes us aside for just a brief moment and like just to download and understand what we're saying, right? And she says like, okay, let's literally translate this for people to understand, for people to learn. And then she realizes that there's, again, you mentioned SEO, Google back in the day. There's so many different platforms and so many different places where people are gathering this information. And so being able to figure out where can we take this message, how can we make this message easily digestible and meet people where they're at, right? And being efficient about that. And so that's one of the reasons I liked your product, your consultancy and product, as well as, again, my secret weapon, Sherry. Like she's able to help us like make sense of all of that.
Yeah, 100, and it could be just as detailed as on the flip side for you guys when you talk about, chemical engineering, but we talk about simplifying things for people's terms. It's just like two brains from completely different functions coming together for a greater good, really.
Absolutely. I'm still learning because you guys have all these industry terms and all these acronyms, and I thought it was bad on my side. Like to hear from you guys, like oh my goodness.
We all have our challenges. And what I really love that you're saying is it sounds like even the leadership group and yourself including in the company are so open to having discussions about like what is like out there, how are we going to get to people, and using new ways as well as traditional ways. Like nothing is going to cancel trade shows, nothing is going to cancel long-term relationships, customer satisfaction. Like robots cannot replace all of those things yet. You still need the humans for that. So it's just it's wonderful. What is your hopes and thoughts for the future? Like let's say 5 years from now, where do you see you guys?
5 years from now, I see us installing and starting up plants all around the world. I see us partnering with names of companies and plants that we haven't even spoken to as yet, right? Who will, through this exercise of getting our message out there, they'll find us through one of their channels and they'll reach out to us and say like, hey, I have a plant, that needs an upgrade, or I need more capacity, or I believe in your mission and I want to make a better cement, a greener, better cement, with cost competitive economics. And so 5 years from now, I see us designing and installing these plants. And keep in mind, these things don't happen overnight. So realistically, from an engineering perspective, we'll be turning them on. They won't necessarily have been running for 3-4 years. The design process takes a bit. So 5 years, yes, finishing design and installation, turning the first few on. If you give me 10 years, I would say, several more, if not, dozens more around the world.
I love it. And it sounds like the goal is for people to find you, which is awesome. I love that because there's so many opportunities for you to be found, especially on what you're doing. What would you, as we wrap up for today here, one piece of advice for mature and conservative companies to make sure that they're staying, in line with the future?
Absolutely. I would say you have a product and a process that works today. You want a product and process that's going to work tomorrow, because this industry is not going anywhere, but you want to be part of it from a generational perspective. And so take the time to learn, take the time to understand what your risk profile is, right? And know that Forterra has multiple business options and project economics models, which allow you to absorb a certain amount of risk, whatever you're comfortable with, so that you can implement the newest technology out there. That's what I tell them, like, take the time, because you've built an incredible company and industry. You don't want it to die off in a generation. You want to be able to continue on.
That is so true. You do have to think about the generation that is upcoming and what are they going to value and what they're going to be looking for.
Yeah.
100%. Well, Phil, thank you so much. This was so exciting. I know I've been like bright because I love it. It's so interesting. I love it when companies innovate and traditional basically ways of, you used to think this is the only way, and now you have people coming up and saying like, well, no, actually, we could look at it from this perspective as well. It's so exciting.
Yeah. And again, I'd love to extend the invitation to you as well. If you ever find yourself out in California, more than happy to show you our technology up front, maybe take home a souvenir, as well as to show you our plans in Redding, California. So anytime you want to come out, you let us know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Phil.
Thank you.